Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Sounds of the Hardwood podcast. In today's episode, we'll be going over who we believe were the biggest winners and losers of the 2022 NBA draft and talking about how we think those teams made moves that will set up their future, whether it's free agency moves that they're thinking about making or if they found a player who is going to be a franchise centerpiece for them years to come. How everybody doing today? How your weekend been going? How's your Sunday been going?
Good.
Good man,
Pretty
good.
Busy
good.
but
You
good.
know, chilling.
Chilling? Y'all sound the
Feels
opposite of chilling. Like y'all sound like y'all like in pain.
it just feels
No,
weird like not having any basketball. Like, because summer league doesn't start for like what, another like 10 days or so. Like, so it just feels weird going from you get the finals and then you get the draft, then you have like I guess free agency,
free
but there's
agency.
no actual basketball to watch. So it's
Hmm.
a little different.
Well, I mean, you got the WNBA if you want to check out their games. I mean, I ain't gonna be.
I mean that's cool.
uh,
I'm not
ch-
gonna hate on the WNBA. It's just like I don't really sit through the games or whatever. No offense,
Ah,
but I did sit through Bryce Harper getting popped, broke his thumb yesterday. So that was a,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. You got your baseball and your hockey. If you
yeah,
want to dabble in there too.
yeah.
For me, I mean, I don't like. I miss obviously having the NBA. It's nice and exciting and watching it. But for me, my season been over for a while now. I mean, Lakers ain't make the playoffs, so you know, in terms of like engagement, I just been like, yeah, I'm just here for the views at this point. So
Mhm.
I don't had the missing basketball feeling for a while because it's like, yeah,
Hey, well, you had a draft pick. You had the 35th pick. You got Max Christie, who I think could show some flashes. He's a natural scorer. Shot, 38% from the field. I think it'll get better as he gets more reps in the NBA. Not saying he's going to be a superstar or anything, but
mhm.
somebody you
Already,
feel good about, in the rotation in another year or two.
Skip
Hey, look,
Bayless already criticized that pick.
he
Oh,
anything
yeah,
involving the Lakers, he jumps on that, man. I think he's just a Laker hater, born and
I was
bred
gonna
at
say I
this
didn't
point.
have any problem with the pick. I thought it was a good pick for where who they got for where they were.
He don't waste
Everybody
no
thought it
time.
was going to be Hardy, but I didn't see Hardy fitting
Yeah.
with LA.
Hey, look,
But
I'm just my Laker talk is really gonna start when free agency talks start. So when we hit free agency, then I'm gonna be a little bit more excited to see what the Lakers can do because I know they're gonna have to take advantage of that. But that's for another conversation, another episode here. So, who wants to be the lucky person to start off and discuss who they think is the biggest loser? I'm gonna say the winners for last. You know, when you talk about the losers first, because I feel like the winners are gonna have a little bit more excitement to it. For some
which
individuals here.
which one of the Knicks fans wants to take that one first?
Um,
Well,
you know what? I'll start. I think the biggest losers were the Sacramento Kings.
okay,
Oh wow,
Yeah,
really?
I
okay.
really think it was the Kings. With the Knicks having the 11th pick, I didn't have much expectations, but with the
Mhm.
Kings having the fourth pick, I think passing up on Ivy was a mistake. I know they went with a better fit and a safe
Mhm.
pick, but you have an explosive like star who has upside with Ivy. Last year you made that trade of losing Halliburton. You could
Mhm.
probably fill that void in with Ivy. And then, this is like moves like this is why the Kings continue to be continue to face or continue to go through the longest playoff drought in the NBA. Um, maybe, but again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe um, you know, their pick was the right one. But when you have
See,
a
I feel the opposite. I feel like that was the better pick for them. Even though
you
Ivy, like you said, is explosive
yeah,
and is good, I feel like if you were to get him, what does that signal to De'Aaron Fox and Davian Mitchell as far as being high draft picks previously within that offense? Because you notice whenever Halliburton was moved, that's when De'Aaron Fox went back to his normal self and started going off. And then Davian Mitchell got more comfortable in his role, kind of on and off the ball in different situations. I felt like Ivy would have kind of messed with that chemistry there, and having Keegan Murray out of Iowa, he can fit in with the playmakers because Sabonis can play make out of the post. Ivy or
Mhm.
Murray can cut. He's efficient in the post. He can, rebound and take it outside and shoot the three a little bit. I feel like that's a good mix moving forward as far as not having to worry about how is Mitchell and Fox going to feel. But I also feel like Ivy was a perfect fit for Detroit next to Kate Cunningham. So I feel like it worked out for both teams, really.
Uh, I know we said I know Soto mentioned the Kings, and I'll also let Henry chime in. But I just wanted to say it before while it was still fresh in my mind, is that I think that I agree with Soto. I'm not saying that because I don't want to sound like I'm agreeing with everybody here. I agree with what Soto was saying is because of the fact that I don't think De'Aaron Fox has shown on enough consistent basis that you need to make him the focal point of this team.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could have got the same production out of Tyrese Halliburton that you could have potentially get out of De'Aaron Fox.
Oh, I agree
De'Aaron
with
Fox,
that.
De'Aaron Fox has been nothing but a headache. You can't bring in any other guard when he's there. Every time they bring in another guard is always an issue. That's been the pattern. Every time they bring in a guard, he's unhappy. It's like, okay, somebody got to back you up, big fella. Somebody's got to play alongside you, big fella. So every time they bring in any guard that we think, oh, what is he going to do to De'Aaron Fox? Well, there's 99 other guards in the league that have a co-guard next to them. How come De'Aaron Fox can't figure out that they're trying to bring in somebody that can help you? I think Halliburton could have helped him. He's a longer guard. He's a better defender. He's a better playmaker. It would allow De'Aaron Fox to slide off ball and play off ball sometimes, but you didn't want that. Okay, Davion Mitchell is very limited offensively right now. He's not a great scorer. He's still learning, working on his jump shot. Right now, his best asset is defense. Okay, so I guess that works because now you get to dominate the ball and you don't have to worry about giving it to him because he's gonna have it in his hand. So I think the just like they moved off of Bagley, I think it may be time for them to move off De'Aaron Fox.
Fair enough.
We left it for you, Henry.
I mean, I didn't want to interrupt.
we left the biggest loser for you because we know what
I mean,
you're say.
well, mine's is more of a winner loser combo. I think like for mine's would be the Knicks being the loser and Jalen Brunson being the big winner because obviously we already know what the Knicks are trying to do, which obviously as a Knicks fan it doesn't make sense to throw the bag at somebody that's not an all-star and he doesn't do other things that warrant 25 mil. But I mean, I get it. The Knicks took the college approach and hired his dad and made it obvious. But yeah, trading the 11th pick for three heavily protected future first round picks that more than likely will probably wind up being second round picks because those picks have to fall in a certain range for the Knicks to get them. I believe they're very heavily protected. So unless you plan on using those picks to leverage in trades to get off more bad contracts, such as let's say Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, and even dare to say Julius Randle, obviously you have those picks at your disposal. But again, our team's really going to want heavily protected picks. Now, the Knicks could have drafted and kept the pick, the center they drafted Duran, but they chose to flip it to get rid of Kemba's contract, which I understand his contract is, I wouldn't say it's an albatross contract, but 9 mil for a guy that is not going to give you many minutes or actually not play at all because Tibbs basically, buried him in the bench is disappointing because the Knicks actually could have used that pick to build a little bit more of their needs that they have. I mean, we still have that uncertainty with Mitch Robb. We don't have a backup typically to RJ. So, I mean, there's a lot of holes. Everybody says Cam Reddish, but the Knicks are trying to trade Cam Reddish actively. So, I mean, I don't really consider him as the backup because, like I said, from the beginning, they are the biggest loser. Obviously, I did say that on the draft day. I was pissed off about it. So, I mean, I don't know. For me, it's the disconnect between the front office and the president. From what I've heard multiple times, Leon Rose sort of works in by himself and does a lot of these ghost moves without consulting the front office, and I don't think that's the way to run a team. I mean, I'm going to go with Soto's route. Like the Sacramento Kings have been the laughingstock for years when it comes to draft picks. We talk about
And the
Luka.
Knicks are right there with them.
I was just going to get into that. We're talking about Luka. We're talking about Clay. We're talking about just the picks that they've always done. Like you don't want to be the laughingstock of the NBA, especially being in the mecca of all cities and everything like that. But for me, it's like if he's making moves without talking to his front office and trading the picks when they can have something that can help contribute to the team. Because do they have a young team? Absolutely. But do they need more pieces? Yeah, of course they do. And if you're not doing anything with those first round picks, I don't care that you have 11 first round picks and 11 second round picks over 7 years. If you're not doing anything, Boston had the same thing. What did Boston do with those picks? Absolutely nothing. So I mean, for me, it's like the Sam Presti model. Yeah, you're gonna have a shit ton of players, but are you gonna be able to sign those players? And are those players gonna bring you a championship? That's
okay.
How I feel about it. I mean, we know they're the biggest loser, and we know Jalen Brunson is the biggest winner because he knows he's about to get paid.
I wouldn't say that the Knicks are the biggest loser. The reason I would say they're not the biggest loser is because the Jalen Brunson dynamic, that's unpredicted, right?
I agree.
Because
It was $9 million was a bargain. We have the comment $9 billion was a bargain when he was allowed to play. It was a steal, correct? But we wasted a first round pick, which we could have used to get rid of $9 million.
Well, that's because of Tibbs. You got rid of him because of Tibbs. That's what I was going to say. Go to the Dallas Mavericks, right? You say Jalen Brunson is the biggest winner. Jalen Brunson was a second round pick that there's no way in the world that the Dallas Mavericks could have predicted that he'd be asking for $25 million a year. There's no way in the world when they drafted this kid in the second round, they thought
it's not a guarantee
he'd be looking for that.
Either. That's another thing.
It's not a guarantee. But from the terms of the money he's seeking 20+ million. Whether he stays in Dallas or whether he leaves Dallas, that's what he's looking for. You're not predicting that when you draft a kid in the second round. So the Knicks decided, I'm going to move cap space because if we want to sign him, that's who we're going to try to get.
The draft picks that
the Knicks have made good draft picks. If you're looking at their roster, R.J. Barrett, Quentin Grimes, Obi Toppin, Mitchell Robinson, McBride, they've made some good picks. They got about 8 young players that are decent enough that when they played in the second half of the season, they kept games competitive and even won some games.
Yeah.
Problem with the Knicks is you have Tibbs, who he likes veteran players on his roster, and he likes to play them. Toppin is not developing. Why? Because he has.
Might as well just bring out Joakim Noah and Luol Deng from retirement. Then he might as well just do that.
Well, but that's the Knicks' problem. You got a head coach that wants to play older players. Toppin, I said it to Pete one time. Toppin can give you the same exact production as Julius Randle if allowed to play. The second half of the season, he got a chance to play. He gave y'all the same exact production as Julius Randle.
But my thing is, you said, financial flexibility. So I hear teams say that all the time, but when teams do that, when are they going to actually use it and actually be successful? That's the problem the Knicks are having.
The Knicks are going to use it this offseason regardless of Brunson or not.
Yeah, we've had it, though, for years. They've been saying it since before Donnie Walsh. We had that and everybody else. And every year we just blow it. Like, when is that going to be enough to actually bring a championship? Like the Lakers.
It says a lot about your coaching personnel.
I agree. I agree 100%. But it's to a point. It's like the Knicks, and this is where I say Dolan should be involved sometimes with the Knicks, not making the personnel, like the decisions of what players, but going to his personnel, be like, you guys got to work together. I hired you for a reason. You can't have Leon Rose making trades without consulting with Scott Perry in the front office. I think that's
no, but during that, all right, I'm going to go back to that Phil Jackson era. Dolan was, somewhat involved. And then when that whole shit show happened, everybody was like, fire Dolan and whatnot. So then Dolan backed out, and then he was like, you know what? You guys handle it.
But he did it with the Rangers, too. You're right.
For you to say, oh, Dolan should be, then that's going to be another shit show.
No. What I'm saying is that the personnel, not with the players, because Dolan did that same thing with the Rangers. He owns the Rangers, too. So he was successful. He made them work together. And then now look what they did. They almost made it to the Stanley Cup Finals because they had a cohesive unit. I'm saying you have to have the personnel in the front office work together. If the president is out there trading your picks that basically either you're going to use to trade off players or get contracts, fine. But if you're just going to keep the picks and tout it as something and you're not going to do absolutely jack shit with it, then it's just a worthless trade, honestly.
Well, what you mentioned with the Rangers is they're a young team. They got a coach who plays their young players. Right. It don't matter what Leon Rose does. If Tibbs going to sit there and say, I'm going to play Julius Randle and Nerlens Noel all these minutes, and I'm going to bury Toppin and Mitchell Robinson and Jericho Sims on the bench, what difference does it make?
Yeah, you're never going to get better long term.
And I always like to say is that I think not to be too sidetracked, but I think Jim Dolan is a bailout cause, right? It's an excuse. Melo used to talk about how that there's some players that don't want to deal with the pressure of playing on the Knicks, right? Now I know Coach Norman Fisher just talked about that with the KD Kyrie, and that's where I was going. Put KD and Kyrie on the Knicks right now, and they get swept in the first round by the Boston Celtics. If they're on the Knicks, we're talking about this every day in New York. You're not going to go a week or a day after that happened that we weren't crucifying those two. I told my dad yesterday. I said, if KD was on the Knicks and was getting swept, the fans would have started chanting, "You need Steph. You need Steph." Knicks fans would have been trolling him because he can't win a series now without Steph Curry. Kyrie going missing for like a week would have been an issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, for that trade, I know the picks, I think it was 1 through 18 protected, then 1 through 13, 1 through 11, and 1 through 9. And then if not, it becomes second round picks. Same thing for the other picks, too. The only one that becomes unprotected is the Denver Nuggets pick, which is 1 through 14 after 2026. Then the Knicks can have that pick. But every other pick is heavily protected. So, again, it's sort of one of those trades where what are you going to really do with that? Like, unless you're trading off a player, again, I find that they are the biggest loser. I get they need some veteran leadership, but not those old farts they're bringing on their team that don't do shit.
And we also have a comment from YouTube, Justin Alpha, saying, Benedict. I always mess up his last name.
We had a YouTube comment too. It looks
the
like
rookie, the rookie from the Pacers who said he needs LeBron to show him something. Yeah, okay. I don't know.
Swagger's there.
So I don't know what. Swagger, I don't know what we're gonna call that.
You gotta give him credit for confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather him come in with confidence than be shook from day one.
If I'm the PR person on the Pacers, I'm saying, okay, young fella, let me holler at you real quick. Now, if LeBron goes for 40 and we get our ass beat, this is your fault. Okay, this is your fault, sir. You pick somebody else that is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, if you want to say somebody got to show me something, say maybe something like Julius Randle or Bam Adebayo, somebody that you play on a regular basis,
or even a rookie from like last year.
Yeah, somebody that's not going to hurt you if you piss them off. But not one of the faces of the league. And he only played LeBron 2 times. Like, you could have said Giannis or Jason Tatum, somebody that you got to play on a consistent basis. He chose somebody that the Pacers played 2 times. That was weird.
He chose the supposed GOAT, so.
Yeah, you could have picked somebody from the same division. But no, he went straight for King James.
I would have personally, if I was going to call anybody out, it would have been somebody in my own draft class to start a whole big thing back and forth. Like, you basically, I mean, he was the first real, I guess you could say Jaden Ivey's a 2 because I don't really consider him a point guard. But Mathurin was basically, like, you could have called out Shaedon Sharp and be like, dude, like, you ain't play at Kentucky. Let's see what you got in the league. Like, something. It would have been better than LeBron. I like the confidence, but it was almost like too confident because now you put a target on yourself stupidly.
Which made me cry.
Yeah, a lot of comments here. The young versus old ignorance. Hey, I ain't got nothing against old players, but if they're gonna contribute, I'm fine with it. If they just gonna sit on the bench and collect dust, I'm all good with that.
Well, Haslam is the greatest leader in the NBA right now. He motivates the Heat in very clutch moments and situations. Did you see his pain on his face after they lost that series? That's what I'm talking about. You
Like,
need
he
that
saw
type
the
of
whole
leadership.
series.
His whole 3 seconds of playing and getting tossed at the same time. Yeah.
And look, bro, you need them real ones there. You make fun, but he's a part of the culture. When these players come in, he's the guy he's the OG that's gonna tell them, yo, this is how we get shit done here. This is the way. This is what you got to do. This is how you
That's how
come in.
Iguodala is going to be for the Warriors. Watch.
Exactly.
Once he retires, I think he'll go right on into the either coaching staff or front office or something.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, since we did.
Did Pete say his biggest loser?
I don't necessarily have a loser. I have a to be determined with Shaedon Sharpe just because he didn't play, and a lot of the red flags. Whether it was trying to get to the team that you want to get to, but the workouts didn't go so well for him. He was late to a few of them. He was going through the motions and a couple others. The only workout he did really well in was the OKC workout. And then, like how Sam Presti works, is if your mental attitude is not really willing to work as much background as they do, he's not going to take you. So that wasn't smart on his part. He did get in well with Damian Lillard, and apparently did okay in their workout, but then talked to like Lillard after the workout, and then that kind of got the hype train going for Portland to take them. I just don't understand it when you have Anthony Simons there, you got Lillard, Josh Hart plays on the perimeter. I don't know how much Sharpe's going to get to play right away, and I mean, it's just an incomplete right now, just because if they're going to be in win mode, like with Lillard, I don't know how he really fits because he doesn't pass. He chucks a lot of shots in the games that he did play in, before he started to sit out or before he wanted to sit out. But, we'll see. I'm not going to knock him. I just think that it's a big question mark of, what's going to happen. But you could say that about any team, I guess.
Okay. Now, I know I kind of I piggybacked off Soto, but I was more in agreement of the fact that I didn't think that the Kings actually had a good draft. But that wasn't mentally my biggest loser. So I'll just say that real quick. People might not like my answer. They're going to feel like I'm trolling. I'm going to feel like I'm capping. But I have a bit of a quick reason of why I said that. And I said OKC. Now, I know people are going to be like, how in the hell is it OKC? The reason why I said OKC is because I think Chet Holmgren is an emphasis on the big project. He is a player who, at that size and that frame, if he has, God forbid, a Porzingis type start to his career, where he has a pattern of he's getting hurt because he physically can't take the contact of the NBA, you just wasted a draft pick. If his game doesn't translate to the NBA, like right now, he's 7'3", 185 pounds. There is no way you're playing him at the center position. It's just not going to happen unless you're going to have a stretcher ready for him to be dragged off the court every game. You're just not doing it. So you're going to have to play him at the wing. So then people try to say, oh, KD and Giannis. He is slow, like molasses slow. He is not playing on the wing in the NBA. Who is he guarding?
He'll play center. He's going to play center. They already talked about him playing center.
Yeah. Okay, then he's going to be out here looking like the little kid in Little Giants. We're going to have to put him in a giant bubble suit and let him go out there and play because he's not playing as is.
Perimeter oriented, and then he'll get to drive, pull, because his moves, which he didn't show a lot at Gonzaga, but if you watch him in other circuits, his moves are off the dribble pull-ups from mid-range that he can get going left or right, and because he's 7'1", he can get that over anybody. And that's where they were saying he's going to be able to excel at the next level. Yes, he's got to put on weight, but
a
crap ton of weight.
And that's the thing. Like right now, he's not going to be able to stay on the court to shoot. Because if he's got that's what I'm saying. In the East and the Western Conference, there's big men that have skills, size and skill. There are a lot of size and skilled big men in the West. He's probably going to foul out in the first half because who's he going to defend? So that's my answer. Yeah, but Rudy Gobert's physical. But he's physical. That's the thing. Rudy Gobert is physical.
And he put on muscle. I can't wait to hear Shaq and all of them say barbecue chicken alert every time he gets cooked.
Even though Rudy Gobert don't got great enough skill, but he is physical enough that he can go into. Same thing with a guy like Steven Adams. He gonna go into that kid's chest and go get a layup.
Steven Adams, bro. Steven Adams is the strongest dude in the NBA. A lot of people
So
say.
that's the type of matchups. I know. Come on, Pete. You know, if the Thunder come in town and he got to guard
Bro.
Joel Embiid, come on, you going to get
I mean,
some fries or
defensively,
Philly
yes,
cheese?
but offensively, he can do different things that.
I'm gonna say this:
He'll
he
be
gonna get
okay.
if he goes against Steven Adams, he gonna come out in the stretcher. It's over. He gets hit one hit from him, it's over, bro. That's over.
Who else they draft? Oh yeah, and then the other draft pick they had is
Who's
the
mine,
kid
Jalen?
Jalen Williams
Jalen
from Santa Clara. Yeah, they went a lot with taking these kids out of that, you know, that respected conference, but their games haven't translated to the NBA. So it's like you took a risk on you don't get these West Coast Conference players, but not all of them have had great success. Like when I see Chet, my first thought process, oh, I hope he's not another Adam Morrison, because it's like you can draft another kid a top pick, and then if his game doesn't translate, what are you gonna do? Even the recent Gonzaga players, they were stars at Gonzaga, but then they were basically role player G League players in the NBA their first and second seasons. So it's like, yeah, OKC, you're back at it again with these, these draft picks who, at some point, I'm like, can we package them and get a star, or are we just gonna keep holding on to them? And then when these kids want these max contracts, you're not gonna want to pay them, and then you're just gonna be right back in the same boat all over again.
So, Keem, since you said Oklahoma is your biggest loser, who's your biggest winner then?
Let's start off with the winner. You're just gonna come in hot.
Yeah, I'm gonna come hot for you. I'm gonna come in hot for you. You did a hot take on the loser because we know you.
Yeah, because I feel like we've seen this story with OKC. That's why.
I was waiting for Pops to say you smoking the weed. I was waiting for your dad to say that.
I mean, we don't know. That's fair. Like, I'm not gonna knock his opinion. And
no. It's about no. I mean, I say the same thing about Chet. I think he's too thin, but I don't.
But you could say the same thing about Banchero, slow-footed, defensively. Who's he going to guard offensively? That
was my other concern with him too.
Okay, I mean, like everybody's going to have flaws. Like Jabari Smith's got to have to be able to put the ball on the floor. Like he can't just be a spot-up shooter.
No.
Yeah. The only reason I said that is because like bodies take a long time. Like a skill curve, you can cut that quicker.
Right.
But a body type, that's going to take this kid maybe 5 years just to get like look at Giannis, how long it took him to get physically ready.
Like Giannis came in lanky, KD came in lanky. I think if he's in the right situation, which I think with OKC they have enough personnel, he can develop. It's just mentally, are you going to be able to catch it fast enough for the physical part to catch on? If that makes sense. Like, are you going to mentally get taken out before your body catches up, or are you mentally going to be able to keep up and say, okay, I can't do some of these things right now, but I'm still a killer in these areas and progress. And I think that's what they have to look at. And the way that their team is built, like you got him and Pokashevsky, like in the front court, that's going to be tough. Like as far as size-wise. Yeah, as far as like other teams bullying through them, but I think on the offensive end, they can be mismatches just because of the height.
Yeah.
Across the board, because you got guys 6'7", 6'8", all across the board. But
well, before I dive into my winner, right? I'm not going to disrespect KD. KD is a 7-foot guard. He's been a 7-foot guard his whole career. This kid is not a 7-foot guard. I've watched him enough. His ball handling and ability to create off the dribble is not KD-like, and his stride is not Giannis-like. Right. I think what we're doing is we see this kid and we're seeing other comparisons going.
No, I said body type. I didn't mean
that's what I mean. Like his body.
Yeah,
we're seeing the body and saying
definitely not skill wise.
Yeah, I would never compare them to those two. Honestly, never.
I mean, so that's why I don't like when people do. I'm not saying y'all guys do it, but I think a lot of people do that. And like some people say Dirk. We've been saying we're gonna see the next Dirk. How long? We ain't seen one. So
Chet Holmgren reminds me, if I had to compare a player skill-wise, remember when Pau Gasol came into the league with the Grizzlies, how thin he was, how he had to play close to the basket, how he struggled on defense to get footing, things like that. That's what Holmgren reminds me of to where it's going to take him a little while to figure out how can I get my positioning down on the post to score, and he's going to have to stretch the floor first before he can get to the post.
Only reason why. Okay, now you said Paul Gasol. Okay.
When he was with the Grizzlies, when he got drafted, not 2-3
okay.
years in, because his body completely changed.
He became what the really thing that made Gasol flip that switch is when he went to the Lakers and was playing alongside a man named Kobe Bean Bryant. Who the hell on the Thunder are going to motivate him to become a demon like Kobe motivated Paul Gasol?
Yeah.
That's the only problem there. It's like, who on that team full of young kids that's all learning, who's going to be that switch to be like, yeah, bro, you got to hit the lab and do this? Like, I think as you hope it's going to be, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Dort. But at the end of the day, if they feel OKC is not going to be the best spot for their careers, like, I don't think that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, I don't think he's the lifelong Thunder. I think as soon as he get a chance to get up out of there, he's up out of there. Because this team ain't made the playoffs since his rookie season.
If you look at Holmgren and the way he carries himself, I don't think you can compare the mentality of him and Gasol, because Gasol was more emotional, was more like scared to kind of go at guys as far as being aggressive. And I don't think Holmgren has that problem at all, because he talked, no, he is not Sean Bradley. Not even close to Sean Bradley.
Imagine.
Damn. He said
No,
Sean Bradley.
He is not Sean Bradley. His body size might be Sean Bradley, but his game isn't Sean Bradley. It's more like I said, early Pau Gasol with the movement, because his movements are the same in the post as Pau Gasol's was. His mid-range, the way his fluidity off of the move is just like how Pau Gasol was. It's just going to come down to, like I said, mentally, is he going to be able to withstand waiting on his body to catch up?
Yeah. I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping the young fella has a great career, but if he out here looking scary, I'm like, well, damn, OKC.
That's what I'm saying. A lot's going to come down to, early on. But you can say that about Banchero, and you can say that about Smith as well, because even though Smith has a great work ethic, with the Rockets and the way that shot distribution is going to go around, is he going to get frustrated pretty quick of, hey, I'm not getting as many touches as I might have gotten in Orlando, because in Orlando, Jalen Suggs was the worst rookie statistically last season. And then you have nobody else really that can score per se. So he would have been that first option. So it worked out for Banchero.
Well, we got Cole Anthony.
I think Cole Anthony's more of a backup scorer personally, but it is what it is. But, we'll see what happens. But that's the risk you take. Like, one out of the three is going to be a bust. That's it's very rare that all three are going to be,
shit.
Hits. But we'll see. What do you think? Not the league, or on somebody's. Oh, Bobo? Nah, he won't be. I don't think so.
That's tough. That's tough. Now, do I still got to say my winner?
Manu? Yeah, you still got. Of course, you got to say your winner.
Yeah, go ahead and do your winner.
I already said my winner, so I'm skipped, so I'm good.
So what was your winner?
I told you it was Jalen Brunson.
Oh, so you don't have a team? No. You just was like, okay.
No,
okay.
I didn't want to play. I went something different. I wanted to play it, so I'm good. So yeah.
So you really don't want Jalen Brunson on the Knicks, is what I'm feeling here.
Not for $25 million. No.
Okay. I'm just making sure we're on the same page. I just want to make sure I'm understanding you here, that I'm not,
Will you
reaching.
still be a Knicks fan if they sign him?
Yeah, I'll be a Knicks fan.
Of course, he does.
But then 2 years down the line, be like, what first round pick we gonna attach to trade Jalen Brunson or some bullshit like that? I'm gonna be tired. So, anyways, yeah, Keem.
The reality is, Jalen Brunson knows what he's getting himself into, just like the Knicks do. So if he don't deliver, if he don't deliver, that's just as much on him as it is the Knicks. So you can't just say, oh, it's going to be the Knicks. You become a $25 million man. You're not here just to be Luka Doncic's backup no more.
He's good isolation scorer. Wasn't that great as far as with the three, even though he shot it decently, wasn't great as far as statistically across the board. I don't know. He's not a good distributor. So in the pick and roll, basically you're going to have two line drivers, and Brunson on one side and RJ Barrett on the other side. So you got 2 line drivers to the hole. You have no shooters because Brunson's not a distributor.
No.
So Grimes, like if Fournier's there, which I don't think Fournier will be there, but like any shooters you have on the team, how are you getting them the ball?
That's one of the first round picks I think they're going to use to trade him. He's next.
And Brunson don't play no
quickly doesn't pass. So
Brunson don't defend either. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to get to. Brunson can't defend anybody. So
that's going to be interesting.
So how does that phrase go, Henry? Knicks in 6?
Yeah.
I thought it was Knicks in 7.
Hell no. Ain't no Knicks in 7, Knicks in 6, Knicks in 4, none of that shit.
Knicks play in hopes?
It'd be Knicks in the lottery.
Yeah. It's okay, bro. It's gonna get better. Don't worry about it.
But it don't matter. It don't matter if we get in the lottery because we're gonna trade that away anyway again. So it don't matter. So, anyways, yeah, King, biggest winner. I don't want to talk about this. We know that. I'm in disappointment mode. So let's just go to our biggest winner.
Great choice for Miami. Yeah, Miami had some sleeper picks as well. They really did. They really did have some nice picks in this.
I had a couple of winners, to be honest with you.
See them wrong.
Keem don't want to.
I'm thinking like of a one because like I'm split between 2 different teams. That's my problem.
Well, you know, while Keem thinks, I'll just rather go.
Exactly, because I'm split.
So I had, you know, in terms of like moves and trades and whatnot, I had the OKC Thunder. I'm being biased here. I had my Spurs.
Great.
And then I also had Pete's 76ers.
Oh yeah, because Anthony Melton. Nice.
Exactly. So I'll start with the 76ers real quick. So yeah, obviously, giving up the 23rd pick, which is a late round pick, and to them it's not much of value, but you attach old Danny Green, and Danny Green is most likely not going to play next year, and then you get back D'Anthony Melton, who's a bench leader, a 3-and-D guy, and somebody that 76ers, desperately needed. Also provides much needed, outside shooting. So, they gave away Curry, and now they bring in Melton. So that kind of, fills in a little bit of the gap in terms of shooting wise. But you have your 6-man right there in D'Anthony Melton. And then if anything happens to Maxey, he can step up and become a starting point guard right there. So I thought that was just a great trade, like one of those under the radar trades that not a lot of people talk about, but it's definitely going to be one that's going to benefit the 76ers. With San Antonio, they just picked 3 players with super high ceilings. And especially with and I'm definitely gonna botch his last name, Jeremy Sohan. So he's a versatile defender who can guard any position, and he kind of fits the Spurs mold. And then you pick Branham and then Blake Wesley, who again
Spurs are always good at drafting people. So
with high ceilings, and especially Branham, who can easily knock down outside shooting. It's pieces that they need. Obviously, it's not like they're gonna win a year or 2 from now. It's gonna be a process because they're still in rebuilding mode. And then again, we don't know what's going to happen with the whole DeJounte Murray situation. Like, who are they gonna bring in if they're actually letting him go? Because a lot of sources
follow each other now. And it was just recent, as of yesterday, they both started following each other and all that stuff. It's just interesting that it went from, DeJounte, all-star, here the Spurs have somebody, to now, we're going to move him. But it kind of makes sense if you're just wanting to retool all across the roster, because you got Primo, who could play 3 positions. Lonnie Walker's gone now because Branham is going to take Walker's spot. Devin Vassell will play on the wing. So you have pieces that are young guys that they can basically say, all right, this is Pop's final run. Let's hand the keys off to whoever they want to, moving forward with some young talent. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then my last pick, the last team I mentioned was the OKC Thunder. And it's not, yes, all their picks are projects and are, are going to take easily more than 4 or 5 years to develop and see how it all plays off. But I just, the fact that they were able to acquire another first round pick without giving the 12th pick, I thought, and on top of that, they stocked more draft picks.
Don't remind me.
So, yeah.
I have nightmares over that. I'm good.
Mm-hmm. It's okay, Henry. It's gonna get better.
Yeah, no.
It's gonna get better.
I do have one thing to add. It's to add what Coach Norm Fisher said about.
I was just about Detroit. That was my team.
Detroit. I was going to say Detroit too. That was. If you wanted me to pick a realistic one,
I had Houston and Detroit as well because Soto took the Spurs, which I knew he was going to pick Spurs. I had them on the list too.
Actually, I had Detroit and Indiana. I really liked Indiana's pick too.
Yeah, Mathurin's going to be good.
Mathurin's going to be good. Yeah, I did like Indiana's pick. I can't knock them for that.
Ivy allows Cunningham to play off the ball. To me, it's one of the more intriguing backcourts. Now you get to see what they do in free agency. Getting Duran means they don't have to overpay for DeAndre Ayton.
Nope.
Or if you still want to go with a free agent, they can go get Miles Bridges, pay him.
Duran was like an insurance policy. Sorry, Pete.
No,
he was like a cheap insurance policy. Mm-hmm. And now what you just said, they don't have to go after Ayton. So now I think they focus their attention on Miles Bridges.
Yeah, I mean, that would be smart because you already got Bay. Bay had a little bit of a down year last year compared to the year before, but
I got to put that comment up.
Yeah. Gotcha. But yeah, Houston, they did well. You got Ty Washington at the end of the first round. Good point guard. They can get guys the ball. He does score first, but he's able to play make if he needs to. Tari Eason, great defender, could play both forward spots, will help them a lot. And then, of course,
that was actually probably a sleeper pick of the draft for them.
Yeah, even though he fell, Jabari Smith, 6'10", one of the best perimeter shooters in the draft, is going to help them because now you got a guy that can actually knock down shots. If he can develop as a shot creator, it'd be even better. But they also already have KPJ and Jalen Green to be able to shot create in the meantime. So it just kind of works out. It fits next to Senjun because Senjun is more of a post guy. That's where I didn't see Paolo fitting because they both played the same area. So it works out because now Smith can stretch the floor and help them. So.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So I guess now I gotta say a winner.
Yeah.
Well, the Pistons I was gonna say, but I feel like that was an obvious one.
Which is why I didn't say Pistons.
So that's
I
why
had Indiana too for mine. I had Indiana for mine too.
So I was gonna say something different, but I have a reason. Just like I said, something different for my loser, in my opinion. Okay, now Henry, relax, take a seat. Don't rage real quick. All right, from what I'm about to say. I feel that the Knicks were a winner last night. The other night, I say the Knicks were the biggest winner. Everybody going, I know Stephen A. Smith in the world, and they're going to be like, oh, how are they the biggest winner? Here is how they're the biggest winner. The Knicks had a plan, and they stuck to it. Knicks went into that draft night with the mindset of,
Coach, can we get the Kool-Aid comment?
We are trying to clear cap space. That was their plan. They did not sit there and say, outside of those
trying to kill
first
cap
five
space for years since I was born, bro, in '88.
Since the first 5 picks. No, what I'm saying is that they looked at the players that are available, right? They really wanted Jaden Ivey. They could not trade up to get Jaden Ivey. So they said, okay, if we're not going to be able to get Jaden Ivey, then what's the next best option? Get rid of players that we know we don't want. Kemba is one of those players that they don't want. Another player who they probably have to still move is going to be Fournier. They're probably going to move Alec Burks. So the Knicks are going to get themselves in a position. Now with having those draft picks, you can trade Burks. You can trade Fournier to a team that will take them as expiring contracts with some of those draft picks attached to them. So then now the Knicks can get rid of some of those players who they don't want and either get back somebody they want. I was telling Soto the other day, yesterday, imagine if they reach out to the San Antonio Spurs and say, we will give you a player and some picks for Dejounte Murray. Now, every Knicks fan in the world that's all mad because they traded their draft pick. Now, you just got an all-star caliber guard. You didn't have to give away anything.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying with that, but we already know option 1 is Brunson, option 2 is Murray. So that's not
we think option 1 is
Here, I'm
Brunson.
gonna put the comment. There we go.
And you think option 1 is Brunson. See, because y'all want to be the negative side, Soto, and go and say,
I
"Oh,
see the long range plan."
Okay.
Like, because who are they going to take? AJ Griffin's knees? Like, his knee ain't going to hold up to make it in the NBA. Like, it worked out well. You didn't settle by just picking somebody.
And that's why I said they won, because I don't think they just went like Coach Norman Fisher just said. They didn't just take a guy who the draft said you're supposed to take at that spot,
Right.
like a Kevin Knox or Frank Ntilikina, guys like that they've been drafting.
Don't you ever mention that name in this thing?
They say you're supposed to take them.
Or Knox.
Hey.
I mean, it's not.
They both made the playoffs.
The players' fault that the Knicks couldn't develop.
Oh my God,
looked good in Atlanta, and Ntilikina played playoff minutes for Dallas as a defender.
Yeah,
exactly.
What was the draft? What was the draft we passed on Mitchell? Was it Knox's draft?
I mean, it doesn't matter. So Mitchell would just ball hog, and you still wouldn't have a point guard.
But the point, but you act like Mitchell is doing something over there in Utah. What is he doing exactly?
He's not. But the Knicks would have.
He's a good scorer. He can't pass and he can't defend.
What is he doing? So the Knicks would make the playoffs and lose in the first or second round every year.
He improved on his passing this year. I'll say that.
Yeah, passing to the basket
since he's been in the NBA, and his defense. His
defense is trash, but he improved his passing.
His passing has been terrible.
No. Only thing he's improved is more creative ways to pass it to the basket. I don't think he's made up another way of passing it to other people.
He doesn't go off his left foot at all.
What are we getting excited because he threw one alley-oop pass to Rudy Gobert in the game? Yeah. What are we excited over that?
I'm not a Donovan Mitchell fan.
No,
unless he improves drastically.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, it's like would I want him on a team now over what we got over there? Probably not, because I think RJ's has the potential to develop into two-way. So,
I mean, you got to look at successful teams build pieces at a time, not mega stars that they overpay for, and then say, all right, we got one or two mega stars, and then turn around and fall short. Because you have to realize, if Brunson's not going to play defense, which he hasn't played defense at all in Dallas, how much of a leash is he going to have with Tom Thibodeau on the floor? Because Tibbs is going to take him out. He's going to play Derrick Rose. What's happening. So, I mean, it's kind of like it's just going to recycle over and over.
He's gonna bring John Lucas out of retirement to come play point guard.
That's what I said. You might have to get rid of Tibbs, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I've been saying that since last season. Like it's a known statistic in the coaching world that he has one or two good seasons, Tibbs, and then he regresses every other season.
I'm gonna ask Soto to find that clip.
Look at his
that episode and put it on
time.
Everywhere. By that time, you said Tibbs was coach of the year. We gonna find that.
They played good. They did play good at that time. But I did say too, when we did that, I said that when he was in Chicago, after 2 seasons, his teams regressed. When he was in Minnesota, after 2 seasons, his team regressed. And what's happening in New York? Same exact thing.
But New York's always regressed. Like New York was like,
man, New York's been regressing since before I was born, bro. Shit.
No, the Knicks were good in the 80s and 90s.
But I'm saying, like,
and then y'all had the Mellow era.
Exactly. Yeah. Ever since like Woodson,
he getting Henry.
Shit, hell yeah, man. Because I don't know, man. Like, I would rather take DeJounte over fucking Brunson. Like,
you're not getting DeJounte Murray in the Knicks.
I know that. I'm saying that I would, but it's not. No, Pete, I know that. Pete, I know it's not happening.
The Spurs would want.
It's pain. Let's put it like that, Pete. Pain, okay? I know it's not happening, but
Soto said it best. Multiple picks.
Soto said it best the other day when we Xbox. Brunson is 1, Murray's 2. We're going more with 1 than 2.
I would rather pay Tyus Jones $10 million a year than pay Jalen Brunson, because at least Tyus Jones can set up your offense and play defense.
He can.
Like,
They about to get that man 25 million.
I wouldn't give Tyus Jones 25 million, but for 10, 12 million a year, I'd rather pay less to Tyus Jones and go get some other pieces elsewhere. Not overpay Mitchell Robinson and then end up playing him as a backup again.
We are
and
going
then
to
turn around and max out Brunson, and then say, all right, guys, we won the offseason, and then you come back to the season and you got a 34-win season again. Like, it's not.
They gotta get rid of. They gotta get rid of Quias.
We were talking about this on Xbox. Henry mentioned, he was like, I feel like them going after Brunson is a smokescreen, and I think Keem and I jumped on that.
Like his father's there. What's West?
But his father has worked with Tibbs before, though, too. To credit
and
before
then West, what's his Worldwide West or whatever.
Worldwide West, yeah.
Has known him since he was a little kid. Is a family friend since he was a little kid. I mean, what more do you want to not connect the dots? He's probably gonna be he's not even worth $15 million to me.
The Knicks are doing college. Knicks are doing college stuff.
It's just that you're on a bigger stage next to Luka. How much did Jalen Brunson really contribute? If you add up all the seasons.
Oh, we gonna see now because the Knicks are gonna overpay and we gonna be fucked again.
Oh my God, Henry, you gotta be a little positive, man.
Positive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be positively negative. How about that?
Remind me to clip everything that Henry said so I can do, a side by side. If the Knicks,
I'll be positive. I'm
so if the Knicks start good,
positively negative about the Knicks this season.
Okay.
So if the Knicks start off the season,
with Bing Bong. Start with that as the first clip, and then you just
Bing Bong.
Every game they lose. Bing Bong.
I'm just gonna start with the Knicks in 6. Him wearing the shirt.
Knicks
in 7. Then you turn around and you just get to the.
I'm gonna do a whole timeline.
Put some funeral music together towards the end.
Just put some rage music in the background.
It's okay.
Yeah, Obi Toppin dunk or two in there to get some good highlights to make it look like they're doing something.
No, it's just I don't know.
Obi.
I think there's, like you said, there's more moves they could make with the money. Like Pete said, somebody like a Tyus Jones that could move the ball and score a little bit because he did have some games where he did score. Would be
because you need somebody that's going to distribute and get these guys in the spots.
Yeah, and you need the depth too. That's the thing. You need the depth. Derrick Rose can't hold up for a whole season. His ankles won't let him hold up. I'm not even knocking D Rose's game, but his injuries will not let him hold up a whole season. I'm just being realistic. He played the first half of the season. He was nowhere to be found the second half.
Oh my jeez, this is getting bad. No, we just make sure, Henry, when we do our free agency episode, you make sure you got your notes ready. So when we go to the
Brunson's going by next Sunday.
Yeah, I just want to add. I want to add one thing. I thought about a loser since I did a player with the winner. I'm just gonna throw this out there. I know I'm probably gonna get heat from Ant and probably some of you guys. I think, unfortunately, the biggest loser is probably gonna be KD because that team is about to be.
Huh? You said KD?
I don't see how you think KD's going to be the biggest loser because his ass is going out of there too.
That's what I'm saying. But think about it. He bitched about trying to team up with Kyrie, and Kyrie's going to leave him high and dry.
Front office for the Nets would
biggest loser KD.
Okay. Yeah. I know this is not like the focus of the podcast, but I know he just mentioned about Kyrie. Okay. Here's the thing about Kyrie. And people may hate it or love it, whatever case.
Man, you happy? Kyrie going to the Lakers? You better stop.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is Kyrie has been the same person the entire time Kyrie has been in the NBA.
Yeah,
he has not changed.
Coach, we need the weed comment.
He has not changed, bruh. So when people go, "Oh, Kyrie," he's been the same person. The man started the very first time he signed with the Nets, and they hired Steve. Man said, "We don't need a head coach. This is going to be a collaborative effort." Right.
So you see this kind of headache in Boston. He's a headache in Cleveland. He's a headache in Brooklyn.
You're trying to sit there and go, oh, what you want to expect out of Kyrie. Kyrie going to do what Kyrie feels is best for him, and you got to figure out whether or not you're going to fight him on these situations.
And that's the thing. Sign and trade him, be done, and then move on, and then you figure out with KD. Sign, trade him.
Here we go.
The Nets, first of all, this is the thing with the Nets. The Nets could have been letting this man play in away games, the whole season. He could have played in away games the whole season. They want to sit up there because they got that nice little Pfizer sponsor that runs during their games, and they want to be pro-COVID vaccine, and then they go, oh, nah, Kyrie, you can't play. But then when half the team got COVID, now you're going to go say, oh, Kyrie, we need you, big fella. Come pull up and play some games for us again. Whose fault was that? Not his. They knew. Okay.
Basketball, to me, the biggest gripe I have with Kyrie is basketball is not his biggest focus. And at that point, you can't max him.
I agree.
You just can't max him. Not that he's not a good player, nothing like that. But if that's not going to be your number one focus.
I think I cracked the puzzle. I cracked the puzzle. I know who King's favorite player is now, Kyrie.
Well, we already knew that. We knew that back 6 months ago when he went off about Kyrie last time.
He's going to get maxed. Kyrie is going to get maxed. Kyrie's going to get maxed because of the fact that he's going to go to another team. He's going to play one. He's going to play 1 year with that team, and then another team's going to max him.
That's what you're going to have to do more than one. You're going to have to.
He's going to do 1 year with a team, and he's going to get maxed. Kyrie's going to
get what? Playing 65 games because he's going to miss.
Not if he goes to a city that don't have the van. If he goes to a city that doesn't have that mandation, he can play.
He can't stay healthy otherwise. He has not shown that he can stay healthy outside of the mandate year.
I think Kyrie has been healthy. Kyrie just don't be playing in games.
So that means that you can't max him. If he's playing 65 games out of 82, you cannot pay him the max.
Well, my thing with the Nets is, what the hell are you doing with Ben Simmons? He's the same thing.
Don't even get me started.
I'm not going to defend the Nets. I'm not
Ben
defending
Simmons is like you're coming to Kyrie. People want to say, oh, Kyrie needs to do this for the Nets. What is Ben Simmons doing? He's doing the exact same thing.
All right, if you're Brooklyn and you trade Kyrie and you get sign and trade him, you get some pieces back, maybe a draft pick or two in there. Then you have to trade KD because he forces his way out. You're going to get a massive haul for KD, right? So you've got Ben Simmons can go back to playing.
That'll probably be one of the biggest trades in NBA history, honestly.
You've got other pieces you can bring in. It may take another year or two to rebuild it all the way back, but you basically get a chance to start back over. So it's not an end game for Brooklyn, like, oh, they got to go in the tank all of a sudden. It's a win for Kyrie because he can go to the Lakers or wherever else he wants to go. It's a win for KD because he can pick basically where he wants to go. So to me, all three win.
Real quick, you mentioned like KD and getting a massive haul. So you think like a team like the Heat have those assets?
The Heat do not have the assets unless you're giving up Bam, which the Heat. Because I'm not taking Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson.
It's probably going to be Boston.
They don't have draft picks. Like you would have to be like Atlanta, and you would have to give me a Okongwu, 3 first-rounders, DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Huerter, and that would be a starting point, and maybe throw something else in there to sweeten it. Like you would have to give a lot because this is KD. Like it's not, he's not a bum.
What about? I know it sounds crazy because somebody threw it. No, not at the Knicks at all. Somebody threw it out there recently. What about him? What about him? Yeah, what about him returning back to the Thunder? Somebody said that too.
They
hell
crucified that man. Hell
no. Well, first of all, that team sucks. Why do you want to go back to that team? That team is trash.
But they say the Thunder have the assets to probably.
They don't have pieces to build around him. How's he even getting into the playoffs with that team?
But what is he going to do on that trash ass team?
Yeah, you can't.
No.
Yeah. He's going to want to go somewhere where he has a supporting cast of players. So like
the Warriors?
No.
He was already there. He left.
He's going to go back. He's going to go back. Draymond already trolled him. You can't win a ring without me.
He already
I've seen people throw out Boston. That's not happening because Boston's not going to give up Jalen Brown or Jason Tatum, and they can't afford all three.
They're going to give up Marcus Smart. And that's not going to happen.
Oh, that ain't going to get it done.
I think.
I know that. That's why I'm saying it's like absolutely. It ain't going to get it done.
He could go.
You have to have unique draft capital enough, at least 3 firsts, some pick swaps on top of that, plus 2 or 3 players that are going to make a difference for that new team.
KD will get the biggest draft.
My mindset is the Boston Celtics can love JB and Jason Tatum as much as they want to. If Kevin Durant came out and said, trade me to Boston, one of the 2 black asses is on the first plane.
They don't have enough draft capital, is what I'm saying.
So, I know.
Who you trade Grant Williams? Like
that. I mean, that's who.
I
feel like at that point, the Nets don't have much leverage. Like if KD says, I'm up out of here, they don't have much leverage. You're going to have to take what you're going to have to take because, you're You gave
So
all
do
this
you
power
think?
to Kyrie and KD. It's over now.
So let me ask you both questions. Since the AD trade was the last really big, superstar trade, do you
Mm-hmm.
think the haul would have to be bigger than the AD haul?
No,
Oh,
I probably
I
have to
think
be about
so.
the same.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be
Around
pick
that
swaps.
asking price?
You're going to have to get 2 or 3 stars, some
Yeah.
picks, a pick swap or two. Like it's going to be
It's
a
at
good
least like 3 or 4 like first round picks. At least.
correct. At least
Yeah.
3 plus a pick swap or two plus 2 major stars that are going to be in the not major
Yeah.
stars, but at least guys that are good in the
Rotation
rotation.
pieces, yeah, rotation pieces. Yeah.
On top of that, like it's going to have to be a good bit. This is tough to see, like who really has New Orleans, maybe, but why would he want to go to New Orleans?
Yeah, New Orleans or I know
Or
the
the Wizards.
Trailblazers
Again,
have the pieces now.
It's just tough though because of like with the
Portland does.
Trailblazers, it's tough with the not having that many draft picks. So they only really have 2 that they could give that are
But they
legit.
can give them
the Wizards.
but they give them Norman Powell and players like that that would be
He's on the
serviceable.
Clippers,
I mean, that's right. They did trade him. So the Clippers
so you'd have to
could be
give
an option because they
Simons.
got a bunch of role players.
Yeah, you'd have to give like they just don't have enough, in my opinion.
Washington would be interesting with him and Bradley Beal and
The
Porzingis. Oh
Clippers could
God.
do it if they wanted to swap out him for KD for Paul George.
Not enough draft picks though. That's the
Yeah.
thing. They made all
They
the
got
draft
they got
picks.
they got no draft picks.
Houston maybe.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if he asked for a trade. But Kyrie.
Phoenix. What if he went to Phoenix to play with Booker and Chris Paul?
Huh.
They have a
They
ton
have
of
to
draft
trade
picks
up.
they could give.
They have to trade some pieces too.
I mean,
Well,
Miguel
sign,
Bridges
trade
would
away
be
Ayton.
gone. Bridges, Ayton,
Yeah.
Cam Johnson probably. Some,
Crowder.
they'd give more draft picks than they would players back. Like you would still
Yeah,
get
and I don't think they want
players.
to.
It would be more of draft picks.
That'd be a complete rebuild at that point for the Nets. And I
Yeah.
don't think they want to go down that terrible.
It's just
I mean,
tough.
nobody goes to their games anyway, but
I mean, at the
saying.
end of the day, all of this could be, resolved by Thursday, and they say, "Oh, Kyrie's agreed to like a 4-year," because it come down to he wants to be on the team. He just wants to be on a longer term contract.
Yeah.
And you know how the media is going to overblow it, so maybe they are overblowing KD being as mad as KD is, But at the other side of it, maybe not. We'll
never
see.
know until we know, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like we just got a little bit into closing thoughts there and kind of dabbled into things that were on our mind. It also set up the free agency period when that starts. We get to break down, what we think teams are going to be doing in terms of their moves to try to make their team better. Sometimes people make their teams worse in free agency if that's possible.
Yeah.
Washington, that's not really a full-fledged convo, but in Washington, can you do something to help out that man Bradley Beal? He hurting out here in these streets right now.
Man, they gotta have him playing point guard. That's gonna be tough. That is tough. You draft a 2 guard to move Beal to the point guard. Come on.
Do something for that. Do something for that man. He out here watching Tatum, who used to babysit and make it to the finals. He's hurting. He hurting, bro. You gotta help
that
that
contract.
man.
Nah, he won't be hurting after that contract though.
Oh yeah, financially he's set.
All that
But I
money's
mean, like
coming. Sometimes
playing
people just
wise,
say, hey, we're gonna lose, but I got all this money.
that's gonna be tough out here in these streets for him. That's the only reason why I said that.
Where would he go? Like, so where did you guys think he would go if he decided, all right, Washington ain't it, I went out? Where do you think he would want to go? Realistically,
okay. I'm being realistic here. I think the perfect place. I think he should stay in the East because the West is stacked. There's a lot of teams he'd have to compete with to go. If I had to say a team that he could go to and have immediate impact on, and be an effective player, and still get the love that he wants on and off the court. Now, I know Coach Norman said the Lakers. Yes, I know, but I'm being unbiased here. Being unbiased here because I could easily say trade him to the Lakers, but I'm being unbiased. Honestly, if you're talking about the market, you're talking about the culture, you're talking about an environment where he could have a chance to win, I'd honestly would say the Knicks. Because from a marketing standpoint, he'd be in a bigger market. He's an all-star caliber player. He'd win. Now, the Heat do have the draft commodity, but the reason why I said the Knicks, because It'd be a place where he would be the star instantly. He'd instantly be the best player on that team. No questions asked, he'd be the best player on that team. If you didn't give up too much of the Knicks' young core in order to acquire him, you now have a player that people want to come play with. Now you go into the offseason as the Knicks, you no longer have to say we're trying to get that player to sign with the Knicks. He's already on your roster. So that now you say, come play with Bradley Beal in Madison Square Garden for the New York Knicks. I think that's the type of mood that the Knicks need to try to put themselves to turn themselves around. Because Washington
Beal is a number one, like a legit number one. He can be a number one.
He can be a legit number one option.
Coach, I love that comment, and I 100% agree. He will have to fight Randall for the ball.
Well, Randall gonna have to get his bitch ass up out of there. It's like at that point, it's like I would trade him for a Doritos bag if I can convince the Washington Wizards to trade me Bradley Beal. Because if he asks out,
Atlanta, I'm throwing everything I can to get Bradley Beal to put him next to Trey.
Yeah.
And you let those two go off of each other. You keep Capella because you need a rim, like a rebounder and guy that can protect the rim. And you got, if you can I don't think they can keep DeAndre Hunter because he probably had to go in the trade. But Beal and Trey would be lethal. But I like DeJounte Murray with Trey better. But that's just me personally.
Yeah, if that happens, if the Spurs somehow get half the Hawks team from them.
I mean, I would take 3 draft picks, John Collins, and you can have Kevin Huerter at that point.
I don't want that.
You don't want the Red Mamba 2.0?
You wouldn't. So, what would you realistically take, Soto, if this was San Antonio? You're the GM for San Antonio. Atlanta calls you. What do you want back in a realistic package? That doesn't mean 5 players for DeJounte Murray. Like, realistically, how many picks do you want, and what combination of players would you want?
All right, so it would be since they're asking 3 picks, 2 or 3 picks. So let's just say, all right, the 3 picks. It would be John Collins because he's unhappy there, and then I would just take one more player, and that player would probably be DeAndre Hunter.
Ooh, see, that's where Atlanta. I'm struggling because that's the best defender. Would you take Bogey instead of? You got to think about your team makeup too, because John Collins slides where. Who is it? The
Keldon Johnson.
Thank you, Keldon Johnson. They're similar. So would you want to try to reroute John Collins somewhere else to get a piece that comes back that fits better?
I mean, you're putting me on the spot, and I don't like it.
That's where I think you could get Huerter as an extra shooter, and it would help.
It is what it is out here, bro.
See, I thought the same thing. I thought the same thing. I think they're just like fielding offers, and I told Keem and Henry, I told them multiple times, like I'm not truly convinced. They're just trying to see what offers are available or what teams would actually offer for Murray. But
if you start doing that, though, what does that signal to Murray in his mind of like, damn, you don't even want me here? Like, if you really want me, you're not fielding offers. Like,
I think it's
that's
debating.
Why I can really bite him. Yeah.
I think it's debating whether or not they want to pay him. Because they don't really give big contracts. Like they gave big contracts to Duncan, Dave Robinson, but then the other guys didn't really get max level contracts.
Murray's a generational talent or whatnot, but he's a really good point guard that him he makes others better. And my thing is I heard the whole thing with him going to the Hawks. I just don't know how that would work. Because with Trey and Murray,
he plays better with the ball in his hand.
He does.
But I mean,
Murray plays better with the ball in his hand.
I don't think they will. I don't think a trade like this would be executed. And I hate having to mention them again. But somebody again, like the Knicks, need to look into Murray and see what the Spurs are truly, see what they really want. Because I feel like the Knicks and the Spurs would be perfect trade partners. I don't know what would be in the trade.
RJ Barrett.
No,
That's the thing.
It's the only way I would do it.
I trade Julius. I trade Julius over RJ. No.
Shit, I don't want Julius Randle if I'm San Antonio. The Knicks don't even want Julius Randle.
They don't want it because he's an asshole.
And you think the Spurs culture is going to want Julius Randle?
I think
He ain't gonna be able to do any of that with Pop there.
You
Knicks
would
probably
have
want
to-
that.
you
Which
would
one
have
would play
to
off ball
say
between?
Quentin Grimes?
Trey and Murray.
It would probably be Murray.
Murray would play on the ball. Trey would come off the ball.
Which is why I don't think that trade makes no sense.
Because they want to look at it where Trey can get more spot up opportunities, like coming off.
Wow. Here, look what Coach said.
Yeah, because the Spurs don't trade people for no reason. So that's what he's trying. Like usually when the Spurs trade somebody, there's usually something
flag.
more there. Yeah, there's usually something more there.
Well, yeah, Kawhi was a exception to that, but you know.
Well, Kawhi did become a red flag, right?
Yeah.
He plays when he wants to now.
Right. And was it the grandfather? Who was it? The uncle? His uncle?
Yeah, with the
His uncle,
demands.
Yeah. That was the whole thing that spurned it. Was like, why is your uncle talking to us and not you? And then that started the whole thing.
Yeah. It's like a Stacey Patton thing. If you want to talk to Stacey Patton, you got to talk to Stacey Patton's agent. Maybe League Sealy, rest in peace.
I remember that.
But yeah, Kawhi is a diva. Don't say that to Soto. He don't want to hear that. Kawhi was his favorite player back in the day. Accurate days.
I'll be curious how everything turns out. It's Thursday at 6 is the start of free agency. I'm sure we'll see Zach LaVine re-sign. We'll probably see Bradley Beal.
601, you're going to see a lot of people re-signing, a lot of people signing.
There's also PJ Tucker possibly the 76ers.
He is not. They do not. I just don't see it. Like,
Yeah,
he doesn't.
Pete, oh yeah. Before we wrap, Pete, how do you feel about that 3-year, $30 million for PJ to be?
That's not happening. That's a smoke screen. That's not happening. People threw that out there.
$10 million for him for 37-year-old.
They're not doing that. They don't have the room for that anyway. They can't afford him, even if they wanted to right now.
I see him either A, going back to Miami, or I see him B, going back to.
I think he goes back to Miami. He had to opt out to be able to re-sign for more.
Or he can go back to Milwaukee too.
If he doesn't go back, because they can't afford to fill it with anybody that's legitimately affordable in the weak free agent class. Like, what are you going to do?
Ooh, I just thought about that because you said that is a team. I didn't think about it until just now, but I'll just say it real quick before I'll let Pete finish his statement and then I'll wrap. Because we talked about Bradley Beal trade destinations, I just thought about that could be a potential one. 76ers. The 76ers have Thibault and they have Tobias that they could move to trade for Bradley Beal. And because at this stage of his career, James Harden is more a point guard, then he's a scoring guard, then that's the person you can slide.
Washington would want Maxey. Washington, I bet
you would have to throw in Maxey.
Well, then, if you're getting,
it would kind of work because then James Harden has become more of a
point guard.
Ever since he left Houston. So
if you said I would not have to attach, you can have Thibault. If we can get off of Tobias to get Bradley Beal, I would give up Maxey. Because then you could turn around and say, all right, well, we have DeAnthony Melton, who could play 2 guard spots. You have Jaden Springer, who a lot of people have already soured on, but I still think he's got potential there as a combo guard as well that could take on some of what Maxey did. I feel like long term, with Beal there, you have a faster chance to win because how long is Embiid's prime going to be? That's the question you got to answer.
Coach, I agree with you there, but I am not offering a 37-year-old $10.3 million with 4% increase. No way. Unless the last 2 years.
Unless they move off of Tobias Harris first, it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Hey, y'all need some shooting on that team and some extra defense because Thibault out here, he's the guard.
I think Thibault gets moved before the end of the offseason. I don't think it's going to be right away. But
it's the step to the right direction because they got DeAnthony Melton, so it's like, all right.
But Doc Rivers is going to play straight Milton. So, I mean,
and Tucker got
He looked
Hall of
like
Fame, corner badge.
It's like I felt it coming that eventually Pete was going to say something about Doc Rivers. Not if he was talking about Philly. I just felt it. It's like he was holding it, and then as soon as he
I was
got a
trying to hold it in until
chance,
he said, "Yeah, we got D'Anthony Melton," and I'm just like, we know what's going to happen.
he's like, he gonna play Shake Milton.
Shake Milton's going to come in. He's going to say, "Well, D'Anthony Melton's just he's got to get acclimated to the team and all this." Right now, we're going to start with Furkan Korkmaz and Shake Milton, since we know these guys. They've been in the system longer.
Yeah, that's crazy. Eventually, you gotta cut him some slack, man.
And that's why Doc. No, he's right though, because Doc doesn't adjust.
Who are we going to have as a backup center this year?
That's been
Dwight Howard
or Paul Reed.
DeAndre Jordan.
No. Exactly. Dwight Howard or DeAndre Jordan, one of those two.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. Doc's problem is the same problem as a lot of the other coaches, like D'Antoni's, the Tibbs, that they don't try to adjust their schemes. They keep it the same. They don't try to change things. That's their problem.
Kendrick Perkins and JJ Redick both said it. If you listen to the recent podcast, they both said it in a roundabout way. By year 3 in Boston, it was like, all right, everybody's looking at each other like, what's going on here? Like, and then JJ was like, yeah, then you had some guys kind of going at each other. And then, with management, it was a little bit tough. They were both talking about Doc in a roundabout way of like, after year 2, starts wearing thin because he preaches everything and everything's great when you're winning at first. And when you start losing or don't reach expectations, he folds more or less. And that's it's going to come in Philly because they didn't achieve last year. They missed the year before. So this year, if he doesn't overachieve, I don't think he makes it out of, basically he's going to be out of his contract.
Hey, look. Yeah, they did. Daryl Morey did commit to Doc. He said Doc would be running it back. I respect that.
All right, we're talking about Daryl Morey, who would rather run back the 2018 Rockets. Just go ahead and add Daniel House to the team, and
Daniel House is a solid player. He's like Bruce Brown in a sense. He does a similar thing.
We'll have Eric Gordon hitting the side of the backboard at some point this year.
So my thing is,
he'll go from a good shooter to hitting the side of the backboard.
Recreating the Philadelphia Rockets, basically.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense. Like, you have to build around the personnel. You have Embiid, who's an MVP caliber, player, and
he's gonna trade him for PJ Tucker so he can have a 6'5" center again.
No, he's playing around with the team. Stop playing with the team and win now.
What I'll do,
Capella for him.
I will bank this convo. I will bank this.
He had this whole monster inside of this whole race.
Yes, he's ready to let's go. He got the flamethrower ready.
I just get so frustrated because it's like right now, the next 2 years is the window to win for Philly with Embiid. If you don't win in the next 2 years, it's not going to happen because too many teams are going to catch up.
I get you. I understand. You're going through it over there. You're going through it. Everybody goes through it sometimes.
Out of the checks running back. That's all Doc cares about. That's true. All Doc cares about is getting paid because it ain't winning.
Hey, look. Hey, he's trying to hold it down for the set.
He coached a team. You could have had some sorry G League coach as the head coach, and that Boston team could have won the championship with as many stars as they had.
In fairness, the first year in Philly, it's not his fault Ben Simmons didn't want to shoot the ball. Okay, in all fairness, that is not his fault that man suddenly forgot how to play basketball. And then last year, James Harden was just too fat and too out of shape to do anything out there in these streets. You know this. He's going to have to pull a Zion and get in the gym and lose weight.
All bench rotations. What was the excuse for panicking come playoff time?
Hey, look, that was the trauma about the losing of a series hit him. He was like, not again. Every time I got a good team, I get sold. And JJ Redick was criticizing him. JJ, you was the king of scoring 18 points in the first half and then scored nothing for the rest of the game. That's not
Whoa.
That's
the way
not
the offense
was
running, I'm going to defend JJ on that one because the way the offense was, the first 2 or 3 shots get him going with the Clippers, and then you turn around throughout the game, they work other members of the team in. With the Sixers, they were just fine if if you didn't leave Kawhi open in the corner, it'd be a whole different story. If Ben Simmons would have rotated like he was supposed to, then we wouldn't have had that. We wouldn't have.
He did it. He did it. He was just a little late. He was a little late. That's all.
Well,
He was a
Embiid
little
had
late
to
on
cover
that.
him because Ben Simmons, I guess, forgot.
And then that's the crying games that appeared after that.
Pete is building a time machine.
I mean, it'd be totally different.
We're gonna have to give him and Henry their own segments every once in a while where they could just go in on their respective teams.
I'm good if we do something that's meaningful to help Embiid. But if you're going to sit there and just toast, I mean, Milwaukee's going to keep being better. Boston's going to keep being better. Miami's going to be better. No, at this point, the Hawks will come up and be better.
Got you.
This is my expression for the Knicks draft. I think it's my final thought. The Jordan crying meme. I'm done.
Yeah, you're right about that. JJ is Hall of Fame. Now he's one of the better shooters, but as far as
definitely good shooter.
Impact on a team, it's always been as a role player. But he played his role well, so I'm not gonna knock him.
Except for when he calls people.
You're not going to convince me otherwise that Doc's not overrated as a coach.
Except for when he calls people plumbers and janitors and things of that nature.
Shouldn't have done that. That was dumb. That's where the first take mentality got in his head of all right, you got to be this way.
As if Coach K ain't that old either.
Yeah, Coach K got that. He got lucky with the run with Ben Caro at Duke, but the year before that, it was about time to hang that up.
But that, brings us to the end of this week's episode. We kind of ventured into some free agency talk, but it's inevitable when it's that time of the year. You got the draft and the free agency. Some teams make moves that open up doors for them in the free agency, like the Knicks. Jalen Brunson, you better go cop that jersey, Henry. Get that number 13 in that Knick color. Get ready to rock it out. Brunson on the back all day, every day in these streets.
You mean 25 for $20 million? You're gonna fleece us for?
I mean, that's Derrick Rose number, so he technically can't wear it.
He's not going to fleece anything. You're not turning down money if that's thrown to you.
Right.
But
exactly.
The Knicks are fleecing themselves.
Come on,
you
bro.
You better hope they go back up playing Malcolm Brogdon.
Everybody got. If you get paid, everybody here got jobs. If somebody offer you more than what you might think you worth, you take it. No questions asked. They're gonna be like, nah, you know what, bro? I'm not really worth that. Find me that person that ever done that, then I'm gonna smack them for you because that's the dumbest shit I ever heard.
12 to 15 million, and somebody's paying you 25. You're taking it.
He gonna be living his best life. He gonna be out here pushing his new V's down Madison Avenue. He ain't gonna be caring about what Henry talking about.
You're not turning away money like that.
No, I agree. I ain't gonna cap on that.
So Henry, just stay positive because if he's here and him and Julius Randle become the new dynamic duo, then you can't switch sides.
Next year you can't come back and say, yeah, my Knicks, they're in. You can't. You're not allowed.
That probably won't happen.
You can't come in hot no more.
Yeah.
And I want to be positive. And maybe they do a sign and trade. Maybe
it can't be. I predicted the Knicks to the third seed, 4th seed, 5th seed. Wow.
Knicks and 6. Knicks and 6 will be back.
That's for another conversation before the regular season starts.
Of course. But I just like to get my trolling in because he was when Russell Westbrook, as he was saying, was out here playing poorly. He didn't miss an opportunity to troll me about my Lakers and their poor performances. So I figured now, I could do a little trolling back.
That's for another episode. We go with that.
Right. When the free agency comes next week, we can kick that off.
Yep.
But like always, if you missed any parts of our episode, you can catch our live episode on the live recording of our episode on our YouTube channel, Sounds at Hardwood. You can also catch it on Anchor, which is also Sounds at Hardwood. If you prefer an audio version of our podcast, you can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, or Spotify. All right. Like always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Oh, I almost forgot. Also, don't forget about our Twitter. It's capital SOT pod, Hardwood pod on Twitter. And Instagram is sounds_of_hardwood. That's our Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and our YouTube channel is also Sounds at Hardwood. And like always, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. We out.